My name is Mike Schmidt. I'm the defensive coordinator at the University of Platteville. Currently, this is actually my first year at Platteville. We finished 8-2 this year with our 2 losses coming in the league. And we're the first team left out of the playoffs in Division III. So we've had a lot of success. We've had 2 consecutive WIAC Defensive Players of the Year. We've had a run of really good talent at Platteville right now. And kind of what was interesting is that, in today's talk, I'll just kind of talk a little bit, I guess, and you guys stop me and pull me back and pull me in places wherever you want it to go, and what you want to hear and what you want to see, those kind of things. But what's kind of interesting is that I have been a 4-3 guy really since I got into coaching, and so that's all I knew, that's all I did. Coach Schmidt next door, I had the privilege of GAing at Mankato and doing a lot of stuff that they're doing now. And that's really where I got my start. And then was the defense coordinator at the University of Dubuque for 5 years. And that's all I ran. And I came to a place that is, I don't know if it's well known, but that's all they've ran has been a 3-4. And so kind of melding those packages together and running a lot of different things. So I'll talk a little bit about how we kind of mesh some of that stuff together concept-wise, mesh some of that together to maximize our talent, and how it kind of pieced together within the fronts and those kind of things within it. So if you got questions on what we call things and where things are at, pull me back. But that's kind of where I'm coming from today with some of this stuff. And at some of these things, I think you want to, if you get focused on some things, a lot of the guys will miss out on some of the stuff that you kind of want to hear and pick apart. So I got 3 things that we'll kind of look at. We'll talk about kind of how we mix things together, how we utilize the fronts, and then we'll talk a lot of quarters coverage out of no matter what the front is, no matter what your package is, how we're going to play quarters, some of the techniques within it, and then I'll get into a little bit about some of the ball disruption, some of those kind of things, some I guess turnovers, takeaways, whatever that is. We classify it as ball disruption, and really more so than just drills on what that is, but the terminology on what guys think, what's going on in their head as they're playing, as they're attacking the football. What is the terminology? How exactly are they doing it? What are those things that they're going to do? And I'll get some clips on what that is. And then we had a really special player this year. His name was Andrew Robinson. He was the WIAC Defensive Player of the Year and All-American for us. And I'll show you some things on how we utilized him in some unique and simple ways to move him around, to maximize his talent, to maximize his productivity. So that's just kind of where we're going and what we're doing. But first I'll kind of talk to you about, so that you know my beliefs on where this is coming from. And Coach Schmidt did a great job next door just before this talking about the important things and what's important to them. And I think that's so important to structure yourself on who you're going to be. What is your identity as a defense? So these are the important factors on what we're going to do. You're going to get what you emphasize. You hear that all the time, right? That's a pretty cliche coaching phrase. You're going to get what you emphasize. So how are you going to maximize that? If you want to, I believe this in life. Like if you want to be a millionaire, you can be a millionaire. If that's your sole goal in life, if that's your sole purpose. Your sole purpose is to lead the country in takeaways. Well, you can do a lot of things to lead the country in takeaways. You might not be sound. You might give up a lot of explosives. You might do some of this, but you can lead it in takeaways. If you want to stop the run, you can play 11 guys against the run and say, we're the #1 rush defense in the world. We're the number 958th throw defense in the world, but we're the #1 against the run. And so it's kind of figuring out how you want to structure that. What that looks like for us, I think, is key in how you build what you want to do. For us, and one thing that we'll talk about every day, this is every day. Coach Schmidt just talked about everyday drills. These are everyday words. This is what we're talking about. This determines playing time for us. This determines who's on the bus to road trips. This is it. And one phrase we'll use all the time, and you'll see it show up again, is that we're going to praise the heck out of effort. That's a bare minimum, but we're going to reward results. And how do you get all this stuff accomplished? These are 4 things that we talk about every day. They're plastered everywhere with what we don't want to do. So kind of what I alluded to initially. This is it. This is what we're going to structure everything away against. And I believe And I think it's a really good thing is that these things don't occur overall. These things on how we attack it, how we measure it, how we evaluate the job that we're doing, these 6 things are within each game. Each game is a season of itself. And obviously when you break that down, each quarter, each half is a game within itself, on how it's a season within itself, on how we're trying to evaluate how well we're doing. How well are we doing? We come in at halftime, these are what we break down. This is what we look at halftime as a staff. Is obviously you better know the score. We're going to figure out, how are we doing in these marks? Because you don't always know that. You can have sense in the game, but these things give us our measurables. Within the explosive plays for us, we want to know how we're doing in explosive plays for us. That's not necessarily just takeaways, TFLs, and I'll talk a little bit about big plays here in a second too. And we want to measure these things out throughout a game. As we're going through each part, as we're putting together our game plan, this is it. Every single week with our players for our scouting report, this is what we get. We give them the how. This is how we're going to do this. This is what we're doing. We'll explain to you why we're doing it. Then we'll give them a breakdown on how we're going to do that within the scouting report. And then start to figure out as we call a game and as we go through it, what that is. Obviously, when you talk about scoring defense, it doesn't matter to us. We want to give this to our players. I don't believe in saying we want to give up 10 points a game. Don't believe in that. Because what if you give up 10 points a game and you lose? What does that tell to your players about your offensive side of the football? What does that tell the other guys about that? That's not, to me, I don't want to do that. Because at the same time, I don't want to say, well, we won 55-54. I've been in some of those games, my friends. And say, well, that wasn't good enough. That to me, I don't believe in that personally. I really don't. So we're going to figure out what is the end of that thing, and then we'll chart it, because I really believe this. I see it in practice. I've seen it in practice on teams that I've had that I didn't do a good enough job coaching them, that it wasn't a big enough emphasis on not giving up scoring plays in practice. Guys, give up scoring plays in practice, give up scoring plays in games. I just believe that you see that. And so it's charting that and pointing that out. That's to say, because sometimes you get, gosh, that guy gets beat a lot. Well, sometimes when you break it down, that guy gave up 6 touchdowns in Skelly. I mean, is that guy competing? What are we doing? Are we setting him up for failure? It's figuring that thing out, and so that our players are aware that these are the expectations for those guys. Obviously, we're gonna chart ball disruption every day. So we have the thing that goes up after every practice that we chart all the different parts of ball disruption. I'll get into that later on what that is, on what those things are. But we break down on what the emphasis is. And that, as you see on the 4th point down to me, is that we are going to determine, I mean, if there's 2 guys, and this is what we say is important, and one guy constantly disrupts the football. He's constantly knocking the football. He's constantly in on interceptions. That guy's going to play. If that's important to us, this other guy might have great footwork. We might really like him on stuff, and those kind of whatever that is, but the guy that's disrupting the football is going to play. That, to me, that's an important thing. Obviously, we're going to scoop and score everything that we do. I got a good story about that. So we scoop and score everything. Every time ball's on the ground, practice, pick it up, scoop and score. We were in a game one time. Our offense threw an interception, and the opposing team took the ball over at the 20-yard line, going in. And on 3rd down, we had they threw a pass to the running back. He dropped it. It was a forward pass. Our defensive lineman picked it up and ran with it. Obviously, the play is dead. The running back came and tackled him for a late hit because the play was dead. It was a 15-yard penalty and moved them out of scoring range. I mean, so it's little things like that to emphasize some of those things as you go. We talk about defensive explosives. And one thing to me, when you talk about defensive explosives, TFL sacks, pass breakups, getting off the field on 3rd down, those kind of things, we're going to chart that. We're going to figure out what those things are. We're going to chart it. But to me, we talk about this all the time. Big plays. What is a big play? What does that mean? Well, we want to have a little bit of leeway with what a big play is. A guy that he doesn't give up extra hitting yardage on the end of a run. Maybe it's 2nd and 8, and you give up a run, and a guy makes a really good play to make it 3rd and 2, and they make it punt. That's a big play. It doesn't show up in his stats. It doesn't show up in a lot of things. A lot of people forget about it. We want to emphasize how important that is to that guy. So we chart it. That's a big play. That to us is an explosive play. Because that guy saved us an extra set of downs. That guy possibly saved us an extra set of points. And so emphasizing what that is to our guys is crucial. Okay, so this part here, so rushing defense. So I said that we want to structure what we do around how we think the key to win the game is. So we want to structure our scheme around what we think it is to win the football game. So we're going to have stuff that's going to fit 9 guys to the run. If this is important, we don't have passing yards per game up as one of our most important things to take away. We don't have whatever that is. I mean, when we talk about this, it's again, these parts, the run fit part of it, how we design, where the fits are at, how we stop their top plays. That's one thing I think we do pretty well. We're not going to say, this is what we run, this is what we play, this is what we're going to always play. There's some of that, but at the same time, we want to take away everybody's best play. We want to, in terms of a body structure, we don't want to have them throw with the ball with their left hand or with their right hand. Make them throw with their left hand. Make them beat you with things that are not their strength, not what they do. So every day we meet as like a defense staff. We'll say, what are your ABCs today? Okay, well, our agility work is this. Whatever that might be within each position group. These are footwork drills. These are extra agility things, trying to develop athleticism, trying to develop the muscle memory and what that is. The next part is, okay, what's your block destruction drill? How do you structure that? What is that thing? The last part is the contact portion of it. Are we doing contact together? Are we doing the tackling drills together? Are we, how are we structuring that into the day? But every one of our guys, when we get together, these need to be addressed in our individual time. These need to be addressed in our group time. How are we structuring this so we are conscious of it as a staff? And then the last part of rushing defense, I believe in this so much. That so much of your rushing defense is built upon all the hidden yardage that you allow. That a guy turns a 2-yard run into a 4-yard run. Well, now it's 4 yards to carry. Now it's 2nd and 6 instead of 2nd and 8. A guy turns a 1-yard run into a 6-yard run. Whatever those things are. That to me is we're constantly trying to point out, okay, so why did this happen? Why did this 6-yard run happen? What was the fundamental breakdown of what you're doing in the hidden yardage version of what happened to you? And that's, those are some of the deal on that. We'll say this every single day during the week, that we're trying to turn touchdowns into field goals into punts, and punts into field position. And how do we work that? And how do we emphasize that? And what are the practice periods that we do? What are the coverages that we're playing? I can tell you this, we're not going to play a lot of cover 2 in the red zone. Those kind of things, on what's in your call bag. What do you have to grab out of that thing? And then the last part, I think, is the field goal block team. You're the defensive coach coaching that. That better be part of your responsibility. That's not the special teams coordinator that screwed that up or somebody that didn't coach that hard enough. Those are your players. And if a guy's going to take that play off, he better take a play off where you remove him from the game on the other downs and make that a point of emphasis. That's something that we talk about with our head coach all the time. A guy is not coming off the field on specials. He's going to get his rest on defense, not on special teams. If he's the best guy for the field goal block team, or the punt team, or the kickoff team, whatever that is, he's going to play those plays. He's not getting rest on that play. I know that sounds, to be honest with you, we don't have our best players always on every single special team to prevent injuries, but if there's a guy that's going to be that, we're going to make him take rest on defense, not on special teams. He doesn't get to say, I'm gassed, I'm not on the field goal block team. No, if you're gassed, you're not on the defensive team. And somebody else is in there to develop some of that depth within that thing. And then we want to make sure that our guys are fully clear on all of our expectations. And this part right here is exactly what we give to our guys. So that we can, I think some of the 3D coaching that was going on here in this room prior to this, what drives me nuts is when a coach, and you see this stuff all the time, when guys go crazy on a guy for not having his shirt tucked in or something. Did he know he's supposed to have his shirt tucked in? Or what are those things? Does the guy know what's going on? Does he know that he's not the starter? Does he know that he's not playing now? Have we communicated this? Do we have a relationship built with that guy so that we can figure this out? So this is stuff that we flash these expectations up every other week. It's built into our weekly schedule. Remember our expectations. This is what we expect you to do. And all the little things that we have. And one thing that that number 3 there, you hear guys talking, you hear guys that will coach another guy or coach another position. And I want guys to coach guys up in positive ways. I want guys to help guys out. But I don't want a linebacker going back to tell a corner what he's supposed to be doing. That linebacker better not even know what happened to that corner on the previous play. His ass better be up getting the call, getting himself ready to play, not coaching the other guy in the backside of that thing. So, all those little expectations to make sure that everybody knows what it'll be happening. Again, effort, we'll praise the hell out of effort, but we're going to reward results with what it is.